Title: Rule Your Mind and Rule Your World. Introduction. Your mind is your greatest treasure. It is the invisible force that shapes your choices, builds your habits, and creates your future. Many people live their whole lives without learning how to truly use it. But once you understand how to direct your mind, you will discover a power within you that can change everything: your thoughts, your actions, and your destiny. Chapter 1: Understanding the Power of the Mind. The mind is the greatest tool given to every human being. It is invisible, yet it shapes everything visible in our lives. The way we think, the choices we make, the habits we form, and even the success or failure we experience in life are deeply connected to how we use our minds. A person may inherit wealth, land, or titles, but without the right use of the mind, such things fade away. On the other hand, someone with nothing but a well-trained mind can rise, create, and transform the world around them. That is why learning how to use your mind is one of the most important lessons of life. When we talk about the mind, we are not speaking of a physical object you can touch like your hands or eyes. We are speaking of the power inside you that thinks, remembers, imagines, decides, and reasons. The mind is the driver of your life, and your body is the vehicle. If the driver is skilled, the journey is smooth. If the driver is careless, the journey is dangerous. This is why you must understand the nature of your mind and how to train it. The mind and habit. The mind is deeply influenced by habit. Habits are repeated actions or thoughts that become automatic over time. When you do something once, it is just an action. When you do it many times, your brain creates a pathway for it, and it becomes easier and faster to repeat. Eventually, it becomes a habit. Habits can be useful, like the habit of reading daily, or harmful, like the habit of procrastination. The mind does not choose for itself whether a habit is good or bad, it simply obeys the patterns you feed it. Think of the mind as fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant will grow, whether it is a flower or a weed. If you plant seeds of focus, learning, and discipline, they will grow into strong habits that guide you toward success. If you allow seeds of laziness, distraction, or fear, they too will grow and dominate your mind. The soil does not choose, the gardener does. In the same way, the mind does not choose, you do. This means you must take charge of what enters your mind, how it enters, and how it leaves. If you allow useless information, unhealthy thoughts, or unproductive patterns to enter, they will eventually control you. But if you guide your thoughts, choose wisely what you listen to, read, or imagine, you are shaping your mind into a tool that works for you, not against you. How to direct what enters the mind. There are 3 key gateways into the mind. What you see, what you hear, and what you repeat. Every single day, your mind is being shaped by what your eyes take in, what your ears listen to, and what you keep repeating to yourself. If you do not guard these gateways, your mind will be filled with distractions that weaken you. What you see, the eyes are powerful channels. What you constantly watch shapes your imagination. If you want a mind full of creativity, wisdom, and strength, then choose carefully what your eyes feed on. What you hear, words, conversations, and even background sounds are building blocks for your thoughts. What you listen to regularly becomes the inner voice in your mind. What you repeat, the mind learns through repetition. Whatever you think about again and again becomes part of you. That is why constant complaining makes the mind negative, while constant gratitude makes the mind strong. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. Every day, you are either strengthening it or weakening it by the choices you make. How to direct what leaves the mind. Just as important as what enters the mind is how thoughts leave. Every idea, memory, or imagination will try to find an outlet. Thoughts can leave in words, in actions, or in silence. If you constantly express anger, your mind becomes a storehouse of bitterness. If you constantly express kindness, your mind becomes softer and more peaceful. This is why self-expression is not just about communication with others, it is also about training your mind. When you write down your thoughts, your mind becomes clearer. When you speak your goals, your mind begins to believe them. When you act on your knowledge, your mind grows stronger. Expression is the proof that the mind has absorbed something, and the way you express your thoughts trains your mind to either grow or remain stagnant. The power of going slowly at first. One of the mistakes many people make in training their minds is rushing the process. The mind is like a young tree. If you force it to grow too fast, it breaks. But if you nurture it patiently, it grows deep roots that can withstand any storm. When starting a new habit of thinking, studying, or training your mind, go slowly at first. Imagine learning a new language. If you try to memorize thousands of words in 1 week, you will feel overwhelmed. But if you start with a few words daily and repeat them consistently, they become natural. In the same way, if you want to train your mind to concentrate, do not start with hours of focus. Start with a few minutes of undistracted attention, then gradually increase. The mind becomes stronger step by step, not all at once. Why the mind needs discipline? The mind is like a wild horse. If left alone, it runs in every direction. Sometimes it runs toward useful goals, but most times it runs toward distractions. Without discipline, the mind becomes restless, jumping from thought to thought, unable to finish anything meaningful. But with discipline, the mind becomes a loyal servant, focused and steady. Discipline means setting rules for your own mind. For example, telling yourself, I will read for 30 minutes before I touch my phone. I will not allow myself to think about fear when I face challenges. I will finish what I start before beginning something new. At first, the mind will resist. It will pull you toward distractions. But if you stay firm, your mind will eventually obey. And when it does, you will realize that the most powerful victory is not over the world outside, but over the world inside your own head. The relationship between mind and success. Every great achievement in life begins first as a thought. A building begins as a thought in the mind of an architect. A book begins as a thought in the mind of a writer. A business begins as a thought in the mind of an entrepreneur. The mind is the birthplace of success. If your thoughts are weak, scattered, or negative, what you produce will also be weak, scattered, and negative. But if your thoughts are clear, strong, and disciplined, your results will also be clear, strong, and disciplined. This is why the quality of your life depends greatly on the quality of your mind. You cannot rise higher than your thinking. A person who believes, I cannot succeed, has already failed in the mind even before starting. A person who believes, I will find a way, has already opened the door to success, even if the path is difficult. The mind as a creative power. The mind does not only receive and store information, it also creates. With imagination, the mind can take old ideas and form new ones. With reasoning, the mind can solve problems that seem impossible. With memory, the mind can connect the past to the present. This creative power is what separates human beings from every other creature. But creativity does not come automatically. It grows when you feed your mind with knowledge, give it space to think, and allow it to combine ideas. The more you train your mind to imagine, question, and analyze, the more creative it becomes. The mind as a battlefield. At the same time, we must understand that the mind can also become a battlefield. It is where doubts, fears, and negative emotions fight against hope, courage, and confidence. Every day, this battle takes place inside you. When you face a challenge, two voices rise in your mind, one saying, you cannot do it, and another saying, try, you can succeed. The one you listen to becomes your reality. Training the mind means strengthening the positive voice until it becomes louder than the negative one. This is not done by wishing, but by consistent practice, feeding your mind with uplifting thoughts, rejecting harmful ones, and building habits that push you forward instead of pulling you back. To understand the power of the mind is to understand yourself. You are not just flesh and bone, you are a thinker, a dreamer, and a creator. Your mind is the control center of your life, and every choice you make shapes it. By choosing what enters, guiding what leaves, moving slowly and steadily, and applying discipline, you can turn your mind into a powerful instrument of success. The most important lesson to remember is this: your mind will obey whatever you consistently feed it. If you feed it with fear, it will produce fear. If you feed it with strength, it will produce strength. If you feed it with wisdom, it will produce wisdom. Your life is simply a reflection of how you use your mind. Chapter 2: Building Strong Foundations for Learning. Learning is not just about reading books or listening to teachers. It is about training the mind to absorb knowledge, organize it, and use it effectively. Many people think that learning begins in the classroom, but in reality, it begins in the mind. The classroom only provides the material, the mind is the workshop where learning is shaped into understanding. To build a strong foundation for learning, you must first understand the challenges of new learners, then learn how to adapt to different forms of knowledge, and finally, develop a structure of discipline that keeps you moving forward. Education is not merely about passing exams, it is about shaping the mind into a sharp instrument that can solve problems, think clearly, and grow stronger every day. The challenges of a new learner. Whenever you step into a new field of knowledge, whether a subject, a skill, or even a life experience, you are like a traveler entering a foreign land. At first, everything looks strange. The words sound unfamiliar, the rules are not clear, and the process seems overwhelming. This is the first challenge of learning, the confusion of the unknown. For example, a student entering a new school or course may suddenly feel lost. There are so many lectures, assignments, books, and expectations that the mind feels scattered. The problem is not intelligence. The problem is organization. The brain is being asked to handle too many new things at once, and it has not yet created a system. This stage of learning is where many give up. They think, this is too hard for me. I cannot understand it. But in truth, the difficulty is only temporary. The brain simply needs time to adjust and to build new pathways. If the learner pushes through this confusion with patience, the strange land becomes familiar, and what was once overwhelming becomes manageable. So the first rule of learning is this: do not be discouraged by the confusion at the beginning. It is proof that your brain is growing. Adapting to varied information. Learning is not just about one kind of knowledge. It comes in different forms: facts, ideas, theories, and skills. Some knowledge is numerical, like mathematics, some is descriptive, like history, some is creative, like art, and some is practical, like learning to use tools or technology. Each type of knowledge requires the mind to adjust and work in a different way. A strong learner does not resist variety, instead, they adapt. For example, the way you study literature should not be the same as the way you study science. Literature requires imagination and interpretation. Science requires observation and precision. History requires memory of events, while philosophy requires reasoning about ideas. To build a strong foundation, you must teach your mind flexibility. Do not approach every subject with the same attitude. Learn how to switch between methods of thinking. When you are solving mathematics, focus on logic and steps. When you are reading poetry, focus on meaning and images. When you are studying history, focus on causes and connections. The mind grows powerful when it learns to shift its gears depending on the type of knowledge. Why structure is important. One of the greatest secrets of successful learners is structure. Without a structure, the mind becomes scattered, and learning becomes stressful. Structure is simply an organized way of managing time, tasks, and energy. Think of it as building a strong house. If the foundation is weak, the house collapses. In the same way, if your learning has no schedule, no plan, no order, it will collapse into confusion. A simple structure may look like this. Decide when to study and keep to that time daily. Divide big tasks into smaller steps. Review what you learn regularly. Balance study with rest and reflection. Many students fail not because they are unintelligent, but because they do not create order in their learning. They wait until deadlines before they study, they allow distractions to control their time, and they depend on last-minute cramming. This weakens the mind. On the other hand, a learner with a simple but consistent structure builds a solid foundation for growth. Education as mind training. Education is more than information. It is the art of forming habits of thought. When you go through a course of study, the most important thing is not the number of facts you memorize, but the strength of the mental habits you develop. For example, a literature course trains the habit of interpretation and expression. A science course trains the habit of observation and experiment. A history course trains the habit of connecting events and causes. When you complete a course, you may forget many facts. But if you have developed the habit of reasoning, observing, or interpreting, that habit will remain with you for life. This is why education should not be measured by grades alone but by how much the mind has been sharpened. This is also why active effort is required from the learner. The teacher can guide, but only the student can build the habit. Sitting passively and waiting for knowledge to enter the mind is useless. The mind must be awake, active, and engaged. Every time you attend a class, read a book, or solve a problem, you are not just learning the subject, you are training your mind to think better. The importance of good form. Good form in learning means doing things in the right way, not just in any way. The way you sit when studying, the way you write your notes, the way you organize your thoughts, all these small details matter because they train your mind to work with order and clarity. If you sit lazily, the mind becomes lazy. If you write carelessly, the mind becomes careless. If you approach tasks with half attention, the mind becomes half strong. But if you sit upright, write clearly, and give full attention, the mind develops sharpness. This is why learning is not just about the content but also about the form. Good form builds good habits, and good habits build a strong foundation for future success. Building your own foundation. To build your own foundation for learning, you must combine patience, adaptability, structure, and discipline. Patience helps you face the confusion at the beginning without giving up. Adaptability helps you adjust your thinking for different kinds of knowledge. Structure keeps you organized and prevents chaos. Discipline keeps you consistent even when you feel tired or distracted. Remember this, a strong mind is not built in a single day. It is built like a house, brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. If you are faithful in small things like organizing your study time, reviewing your notes, and keeping your mind focused, you will find that your learning becomes easier, faster, and deeper. Building strong foundations for learning is about preparing the mind for long-term growth. Do not think of education as a short race, think of it as planting a tree. At first, it grows slowly, almost unseen. But with patience, water, and care, it develops deep roots and strong branches. The same applies to your mind. If you take time to prepare it, organize it, and train it with discipline, it will grow into a strong and fruitful tree. Never forget, your foundation determines your future. If you build it strong, you can carry the weight of great knowledge and wisdom. If you build it weak, everything will collapse under pressure. The choice is in your hands. Chapter 3, Mastering Note-Taking and Active Learning. Learning is not about how much information passes before your eyes or ears, it is about how much of that information stays alive inside your mind and becomes useful. The truth is, the mind easily forgets. A lesson you hear today may fade by tomorrow if you do not capture it. A book you read once may vanish from memory if you do not record what matters. This is why note-taking is one of the most powerful skills for building the mind. But note-taking is not just about writing words on paper. It is about engaging with knowledge in a way that makes it part of you. It is about organizing, summarizing, and interpreting what you learn so that it becomes easier to recall and apply. If done wrongly, notes can become meaningless lists that gather dust. If done rightly, they become a living map of your thoughts and discoveries. In this chapter, we will explore the art of note-taking and how it connects with active learning. Why notes are tools of the mind. Notes are like a mirror of your mind. They show not just what you have been taught, but how you understood it. When you write notes, you are forcing your brain to process information instead of letting it pass by. The act of selecting, arranging, and recording information makes your mind sharper. Think of notes as seeds. The lecture, book, or lesson is like a tree full of fruits. You cannot carry the whole tree with you, but you can take seeds and plant them in your garden. Notes are those seeds. With time, they grow in your mind into trees of knowledge that you can return to again and again. Another reason notes are powerful is that they extend your memory. No one can remember everything word for word. But with good notes, you have a reliable record that you can return to whenever needed. This frees your mind from the burden of memorizing every detail and allows it to focus on understanding. The right way to capture knowledge. Many people make the mistake of trying to write down every single word they hear or read. This creates pages full of information but empty of meaning. The purpose of notes is not to copy, but to capture. You are not a machine, you are a thinker. To capture knowledge rightly, you must focus on 1. Key ideas, not every word. Listen or read actively and ask, what is the central thought here? Write that down. 2. Connections, not just facts. If a lecture explains how one idea leads to another, capture the relationship, not just the points. 3. Clarity, not speed. Fast writing that produces confusing notes is useless. It is better to write fewer, clearer points than to copy blindly. 4. Your own words. When you put an idea in your own language, your brain processes it deeply. Copying may feel safe, but it does not create ownership of knowledge. This is why the best note-takers are not those who write the most, but those who think while writing. The connection between notes and active learning. Active learning means being mentally awake during the process of study. It means questioning, interpreting, and interacting with information instead of receiving it passively. Note-taking is one of the best ways to stay active. Imagine two students in a lecture. One sits quietly, letting words wash over him. The other listens carefully, asks silent questions in his mind, and writes notes to capture the flow of ideas. At the end of the lecture, the first student has nothing but a faint memory. The second has not only a record but also a structured understanding. This shows that note-taking is not just about the paper, it is about the state of the mind. If your mind is awake, your notes will reflect depth and clarity. If your mind is asleep, your notes will be lifeless scribbles. How to organize notes for power. Good notes must be useful not just today but also in the future. This means they must be organized in a way that makes them easy to return to and review. Some guiding principles are: use clear headings and subheadings. This creates a map of ideas instead of a wall of words. Highlight key terms. Underline or circle important words so that they stand out when you review. Leave spaces. A crowded page is difficult to use. Space allows you to add later thoughts or connections. Use symbols or diagrams. Sometimes an arrow, a chart, or a drawing can capture meaning better than long sentences. Number your points. Order gives structure, and structure gives memory. When your notes are well organized, they do not just store knowledge, they train your brain to think in patterns. Notes from reading. When taking notes from reading, the temptation is to copy whole paragraphs. But copying does not equal understanding. Instead, the goal should be to summarize. When you read, pause regularly and ask, what is the main idea of this paragraph? How does it connect to what came before? What question is it answering? Then write your summary in your own words. Even if it is shorter, it will be stronger because your brain has processed it. Another important skill is reading with questions in mind. Do not just read to finish pages. Read to find answers. If you approach a book with questions, your notes will naturally organize themselves around those answers. Finally, when reading multiple books or sources, create a bibliography list. This is simply a record of where you found each idea. It saves time later and helps you trace back your thoughts. Notes from listening. Listening is different from reading because you cannot pause the speaker. This means you must listen actively and selectively. Do not try to write every sentence. Instead, listen for key themes, definitions, or steps in an argument. Capture the skeleton, not the skin. One useful technique is the outline method. Write the main point on the left. Add supporting details beneath it, indented. Keep the structure simple and clear. This way, your notes reflect not just words but the flow of thought. Another technique is to leave spaces during the lecture. After class, return and fill those spaces with reflections or missing details while the lesson is still fresh in your mind. This turns your notes into a living document. Notes from observation and practice. In laboratories, workshops, or practical training, notes are even more important. Here, you are not only recording information but also experiences. The way you describe an experiment, a process, or a result will determine how well you can repeat it or explain it later. In practical note-taking, focus on what was done, what was observed, what it means. Use drawings, tables, and step-by-step records. These capture more than words and make your notes practical for future use. Mistakes to avoid in note-taking. Many learners make mistakes that weaken their notes. Writing too much. This creates clutter and hides the important points. Writing too little. This leaves gaps and makes review difficult. Copying without thinking. This produces notes that you do not understand. Messy arrangement. This makes notes hard to use later. The purpose of notes is not to impress with full pages but to serve as a clear map for your future mind. Turning notes into knowledge. Taking notes is only the first step. The true power comes when you use them. After writing notes, you must 1. Review them regularly. Do not wait until exams. Frequent review strengthens memory. 2. Expand them with reflections. Add your own thoughts, examples, or connections. This deepens understanding. 3. Test yourself with them. Cover parts of your notes and see if you can recall them. This trains the brain to remember. 4. Use them for expression. Try to explain your notes to someone else. Teaching from notes is one of the strongest ways to make knowledge your own. Why note-taking builds mental discipline. At first, note-taking may feel like extra work. But over time, it shapes your mind into an organized machine. You learn to listen with focus, read with purpose, and think with clarity. These habits do not just help in school, they help in life. Meetings, conversations, planning, all become easier when your mind knows how to capture and structure information. Good notes are the marks of an active mind. And an active mind is a powerful mind. Note-taking is more than a study technique, it is a way of life for the growing mind. It teaches you to be selective, attentive, and reflective. It keeps your thoughts alive and prevents knowledge from fading. It turns passive listening into active learning and transforms scattered information into structured wisdom. Always remember, your notes are not just on paper, they are in your mind. The act of writing, organizing, and reviewing is shaping the very pathways of your brain. If you master the art of note-taking, you master one of the strongest tools for lifelong learning. Chapter 4: The Power of Focus and Concentration. The human mind is like a lens. If light passes through a lens without direction, it scatters everywhere. But when a lens is adjusted to focus, that same light can become powerful enough to burn through paper. Your mind works the same way. When scattered, it is weak, distracted, and unable to achieve much. But when concentrated, it becomes unstoppable, capable of solving problems, creating ideas, and producing results beyond imagination. Focus is not just about paying attention. It is about channeling your mental energy in one direction, refusing to allow distractions to scatter it. Concentration is the art of keeping your mind steady until the work is done. Together, focus and concentration are the tools that separate ordinary people from extraordinary achievers. Why the mind needs focus. The mind is naturally restless. It jumps from one thought to another, like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. Today you start a task, tomorrow you abandon it for another, and the next day you find yourself scrolling endlessly on your phone without purpose. This restlessness drains energy. Focus, however, brings discipline. It takes that wandering mind and says, stay here. Do this. Finish it. Without focus, great dreams remain wishes. With focus, even small efforts turn into big achievements over time. Concentration as a mental muscle. Think of concentration as a muscle. If you never exercise it, it remains weak. If you train it daily, it becomes strong. Every time you resist distraction, you are training your concentration. Every time you sit down, shut out noise, and give your mind fully to one thing, you are building a power that will serve you for life. Many people believe concentration is something you either have or don't have. That is not true. Concentration is developed through practice. Just like learning to walk, it becomes natural when you train yourself consistently. Enemies of focus. To master focus, you must also identify what steals it from you. These enemies include 1. Distractions, noise, phones, notifications, unnecessary conversations. 2. Multitasking, doing many things at once makes you busy but not effective. 3. Lack of clarity, if you don't know what you want, your mind has no reason to stay on one thing. 4. Restlessness, a tired body or unsettled mind cannot concentrate. The truth is, the world is full of things fighting for your attention. Only those who learn to guard their focus will succeed. The power of deep work. Deep work means entering a state where your mind is fully engaged, distractions are gone, and you give your best energy to the task. In this state, time passes quickly, creativity flows, and results multiply. Writers, scientists, inventors, and leaders all relied on deep work to make their mark. Shallow work, on the other hand, is doing a little of this and a little of that, checking your phone every 5 minutes, and never going deep enough to create anything meaningful. Shallow work looks busy but produces little. Deep work produces excellence. Training your mind to focus. Here are practical ways to strengthen your focus and concentration. Set a clear intention. Before starting any task, tell your mind exactly what you want to achieve. Remove distractions. Put away your phone, clear your desk, and create a quiet space. Work in time blocks. Focus deeply for 30 to 60 minutes, then rest briefly before continuing. Practice mindfulness. Train your mind to stay in the present moment, not wandering into the past or future. Start small. Don't expect instant mastery. Build your focus gradually, like a muscle. The mind becomes what it focuses on. This is the greatest secret, the mind becomes what it dwells on. If you constantly focus on problems, your life will be full of worry. If you focus on solutions, your life will move toward progress. If you focus on negativity, your spirit will be heavy. But if you focus on growth, your future will expand. Your focus is like a seed. Whatever you plant and water with your attention, that is what will grow. A scattered focus produces weeds. A directed focus produces a harvest. Focus and concentration are the keys to unlocking the hidden treasures of the mind. They are not gifts given to a few but skills available to anyone who is willing to practice. Every time you take control of your attention, you are shaping your destiny. The mind is powerful, but only when it is not scattered. If you learn to direct it, you can achieve more in a few years than others achieve in a lifetime. The secret is simple: guard your focus, strengthen your concentration, and give your mind to what truly matters. Chapter 5: The Power of Attention, Directing Your Mental Energy. If the mind is like a lamp, then attention is the flame. Without it, your thoughts remain scattered like smoke, drifting in every direction. But when attention is focused, the flame sharpens into a steady light that can brighten even the darkest corner of understanding. Many people underestimate the power of attention. They think it is something automatic, you simply pay attention when you need to. But attention is not automatic. It is a skill you can train, sharpen, and control, and the quality of your life largely depends on it. Think about it, everything you have learned, every skill you have mastered, every idea you have understood, all of it came through the gateway of attention. Without attention, knowledge slips past you like water through open fingers. What is attention really? Attention is simply the act of directing your mind toward one thing while shutting out distractions. It is not just about looking with your eyes, it is about focusing with your whole mind. You may sit in a room with your eyes fixed on a book, but if your thoughts are wandering, replaying a memory, worrying about tomorrow, or daydreaming, then you are not truly paying attention. Attention means presence. It means your mind and your object of focus are locked together in the same moment. Why attention matters? Attention is not only for learning in school or solving problems. It shapes your habits, controls your emotions, and even determines your success in relationships and work. In study, a distracted student reads a page 10 times without remembering a line. A focused student reads once and remembers. In work, an unfocused worker wastes hours jumping from task to task. A focused worker completes what others struggle with in half the time. In life, an unfocused person drifts through experiences, while a focused person finds meaning and growth in each moment. In short, attention is the difference between living with clarity and living in confusion. The enemies of attention. If attention is so important, why is it often so hard to hold? Because the mind is restless. It prefers to wander, to chase after every sound, thought, and feeling. Some of the common enemies of attention are: 1. Distractions from outside, noise, movement, interruptions, or constant notifications. 2. Distractions from inside, daydreams, worries, hunger, or emotions pulling your thoughts away. 3. Lack of interest. When you don't care about what you are doing, your mind slips away easily. Knowing these enemies is the first step to defeating them. How to strengthen your attention. Like a muscle, attention grows stronger the more you exercise it. Here are practical ways to train it. 1. Choose your focus deliberately. Don't let your mind decide where to wander. Tell it where to go. For example, if you are reading, make a clear decision: for the next 30 minutes, I will focus on this book. That act of choice gives your mind direction. 2. Remove distractions. If your phone keeps buzzing, silence it. If noise surrounds you, move to a quieter space. If hunger is disturbing you, eat first. The fewer distractions around, the easier it is to stay focused. 3. Break tasks into smaller parts. Instead of saying, I will study for 3 hours, break it down: I will study this one chapter for 30 minutes. The mind finds short, clear goals easier to focus on. 4. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Do this repeatedly, and your control over attention will grow stronger. 5. Train through interest. The easiest way to hold attention is to care deeply about what you are doing. Curiosity feeds focus. If you find no interest, try to connect it to your goals or future benefit. The rewards of attention. A trained attention gives you power over your mind. You begin to notice details others miss, you understand faster, and you remember longer. You stop wasting energy on scattered thoughts, and you channel it into growth. With attention, even ordinary tasks become opportunities for mastery. Without it, even great opportunities slip away unnoticed. The key reminder. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Where it goes, your life follows. If you waste it on meaningless distractions, your life becomes scattered. If you invest it wisely, in learning, in growth, in meaningful work, your life becomes focused, purposeful, and powerful. Chapter 6: Breaking Mental Limitations. The mind is like a field. Whatever you plant there will grow. But for many people, their mental field is full of weeds, doubts, fears, wrong beliefs, and old experiences that hold them back. These weeds are what we call mental limitations. A mental limitation is not always something you can see with your eyes. It is often invisible, like a chain around your thoughts. You may have big dreams, you may even have the talent, but if your mind keeps telling you, you can't do it, then that voice becomes stronger than your potential. The origin of mental limitations. Most of our limitations come from three main sources. 1. What we were told while growing up. Many times, family, teachers, or friends speak words that enter deeply into our subconscious mind. If someone keeps hearing, "You are not good enough," or "This is impossible for people like you," the mind quietly accepts it as truth. 2. Past failures. Every time you fail and don't rise again, your mind takes a picture of that failure and stores it. Later, when you want to try something new, that picture comes back to whisper, "Remember the last time? Don't bother." 3. Fear of the unknown. The mind is designed to protect us. But sometimes, it protects us too much. It tries to avoid discomfort or risk, even when the risk could bring growth. So the mind creates fear where there should be courage. Recognizing your own mental barriers. The first step in breaking limitations is recognizing them. Ask yourself, what are the thoughts that repeat in my head when I want to move forward? What excuses do I always make? What do I believe about myself that makes me feel small or powerless? Often, the barrier is not outside. It is inside. A person who believes, "I am not intelligent enough," will not even attempt certain opportunities. Another who believes, "I will always fail," will unconsciously act in ways that lead to failure. Breaking the chains. Breaking mental limitations is not about denying reality. It is about changing how you see reality. Here are steps that help. 1. Challenge every negative thought. Don't just accept it. If your mind says, "You cannot do this," respond, "Why not? Who said so?" Train your thoughts to face resistance. 2. Replace weakness with strength. Whenever a limiting belief comes up, replace it with a stronger, positive one. For example, if your mind says, "You are too late," replace it with, "It is never too late to begin." This practice reshapes your mental habit. 3. Act in small steps. Sometimes limitations feel too strong to fight with thoughts alone. That's when action helps. Take small actions that prove your mind wrong. Each small success weakens the limitation. 4. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. If you stay around those who believe in limitations, you will absorb the same. But when you walk with people who break barriers, their courage becomes a mirror to your own possibilities. The freedom of a renewed mind. When mental chains are broken, a person begins to live in freedom. You will notice that problems no longer scare you the same way. Fear may still come, but it does not control you. Failure may still happen, but it no longer defines you. You begin to act from possibility, not from limitation. The most powerful prison in life is not walls or iron bars. It is the prison of the mind. And the greatest freedom is not in traveling the world, it is in thinking without chains. So, if you want to use your mind well, begin here. Identify the mental lies you have believed for years. Break them. Replace them. And walk forward in the truth of your own power. Chapter 7, Imagination, the bridge between thought and reality. Imagination is one of the most powerful gifts given to the human mind. It is the ability to form mental pictures, create possibilities, and see things not yet visible. Without imagination, there would be no great discoveries, no inventions, no music, no art, no innovation. Everything humanity has built began as a thought in someone's imagination. When you close your eyes and picture something that doesn't yet exist, you are engaging the same mental power that built pyramids, invented airplanes, and connected the world through technology. But imagination is not only for great inventors and artists. It is also for ordinary people who want to solve everyday problems, improve their lives, and create better futures. Why imagination matters. Your imagination is the workshop of your mind. It takes the raw materials of ideas, experiences, and knowledge and reshapes them into new forms. When you imagine, you expand beyond what is, into what could be. Think about it. Before you can achieve something, you must first imagine it. A student who dreams of becoming a doctor must first picture herself wearing the white coat, standing in the hospital, helping patients. That picture in her mind becomes the energy that pushes her through years of study. Without imagination, she would not have a vision to chase. Imagination also helps you find solutions when problems arise. The mind asks, what if? And how else? And could this work differently? That flexibility makes it possible to see opportunities where others see only barriers. Imagination and faith. There is a close connection between imagination and faith. Faith is believing in what you cannot see yet. Imagination gives your faith an image. When you imagine, you make the unseen more real in your heart. If you constantly picture yourself failing, your faith will weaken. But if you constantly imagine yourself succeeding, even when things look hard, your faith grows stronger. That is why it is important to guard your imagination. It can either empower you or limit you. Using imagination the right way. Not all imagination is useful. Some people use imagination to live in fantasy, wasting energy on dreams they never act on. Others use imagination in negative ways, filling their minds with fear, worry, or harmful thoughts. The real power of imagination comes when it is directed and disciplined. Here are some ways to train your imagination. 1. Visualize your goals. Every day, picture yourself already living in the success you desire. Let your mind see the details, the environment, the feeling, the outcome. The more vivid the picture, the stronger the motivation. 2. Solve problems creatively. When faced with difficulties, don't only ask, why me? Ask, what else is possible? Imagine different solutions, even the unusual ones. Many breakthroughs come from ideas that at first seemed impossible. 3. Guard against negative pictures. Be careful of what you feed your mind. Fearful movies, destructive thoughts, and harmful images can weaken imagination. Replace them with positive, constructive images. 4. Combine imagination with action. Imagination alone does not build anything. Action makes imagination real. Once you see it in your mind, begin to take steps toward it, no matter how small. Imagination shapes the future. Every building was once an idea in someone's mind. Every book was once a picture in the author's imagination. Every movement in history began when someone imagined a better world. Your own future is also being shaped right now by what you allow in your imagination. If you fill your mind with pictures of defeat, you will unconsciously walk into defeat. But if you fill your imagination with pictures of hope, strength, and victory, you will gradually walk into those realities. The secret power of imagination. The secret is simple: what you constantly imagine, you eventually attract. Your mind is like a magnet. When it holds a picture long enough, it begins to draw resources, ideas, and opportunities that match that picture. This is why it is dangerous to dwell too much on fear and failure. Imagination sets the direction of your life. So, choose wisely. Use your imagination not as a place of escape, but as a workshop of creation. Picture yourself strong, capable, and worthy. Picture the best version of yourself. Then, step by step, turn that picture into reality. Chapter 8: The Role of Imagination in Shaping the Mind. The mind is not only a place for memory, logic, and reasoning, it is also the home of imagination. Imagination is one of the most powerful forces given to humanity. It is the ability to create mental pictures, to form ideas that have not yet appeared in reality, and to see possibilities where others only see limitations. Everything that exists in the physical world today once lived in someone's imagination. The cars we drive, the phones we hold, the clothes we wear, the airplanes flying above us, all of them began as images in the mind of a person. That is how powerful imagination is. It is like a seedbed where realities are planted before they are born into the world. But the tragedy is this: many people do not know how to use their imagination correctly. Instead of using it as a tool to build their lives, they use it as a weapon against themselves. They imagine failure before they even try. They imagine rejection before they speak. They imagine loss, shame, and defeat, and then those images weaken their actions and limit their growth. This chapter is a call to awaken your imagination and learn to guide it, because it is one of the greatest gifts for shaping the mind. Imagination, the mind's creative workshop. Think of imagination as a workshop inside your mind. In this workshop, you can design anything: a successful future, a business idea, a beautiful family, or a peaceful life. In the same space, you can also design fear, worry, and defeat. The truth is that your imagination is always active. Even when you are not consciously thinking, your mind is building pictures, especially when you worry or daydream. The question is not whether you have imagination, the question is whether you are controlling it or letting it control you. When you guide your imagination with intention, you begin to direct the mind toward growth and transformation. The link between imagination and belief. Your imagination influences what you believe. And what you believe shapes how you act. For example, if you constantly imagine yourself failing an exam, your mind accepts it as true. Fear enters, your confidence weakens, and you may actually perform poorly, not because you are not intelligent, but because your imagination poisoned your belief. On the other hand, when you imagine success, your brain begins to work in that direction. You become more focused, more energized, and more confident. Even if challenges come, your imagination has already built a picture of victory, and your mind pushes you toward it. Belief is nothing but imagination repeated until it feels real. Imagination and fear. Fear is a product of imagination misused. When you think of what could go wrong and keep magnifying it, your imagination paints dark pictures in your mind. You see yourself losing your job, you see people laughing at you, you see failure waiting at every corner. Fear lives in images, and the mind cannot easily separate imagined danger from real danger. That is why people panic, sweat, or even lose sleep over things that have not happened. But if imagination can create fear, then it can also create courage. Instead of painting pictures of loss, you can paint pictures of victory. Instead of imagining the worst outcome, you can imagine the best. That is how you train your mind to stand firm even in difficulties. The practice of positive visualization. Visualization is the practice of using imagination intentionally to picture the life you want. Athletes use it before competitions. Speakers use it before standing on stage. Businessmen use it before making decisions. They sit quietly, close their eyes, and imagine themselves succeeding. Why does this work? Because the brain responds to imagined experiences almost the same way it responds to real ones. When you visualize yourself standing with confidence, speaking clearly, and receiving applause, your mind records it as if it already happened. So when you face the real moment, it feels familiar. Visualization does not replace hard work, but it strengthens the mind and prepares it for action. Guarding your imagination. Just as you would guard the doors of your house, you must guard the gates of your imagination. Be careful of what you feed your mind. Negative conversations, hopeless movies, toxic environments, all of these plant unhealthy pictures in your imagination. When you fill your mind with uplifting books, inspiring messages, and positive environments, you create a fertile ground for powerful imagination. The key is to remember that whatever you allow to dominate your imagination will eventually shape your reality. Practical ways to train your imagination. 1. Daily visualization. Spend a few minutes each day imagining yourself living the life you want. Picture the details, how you feel, how you act, and how you succeed. 2. Affirmation with images. Don't just say words of affirmation, see them. If you say, "I am confident," imagine yourself walking boldly, speaking with clarity, and receiving respect. 3. Replace fear with courage. Whenever fear rises, pause and deliberately change the picture. If you imagine failure, replace it with an image of success. 4. Expose yourself to inspiration. Surround yourself with things that spark creativity, music, nature, art, good stories. They fuel the imagination in healthy ways. Imagination is not a child's game. It is the creative power of the mind. If you use it wrongly, it will trap you in fear and self-doubt. But if you use it rightly, it will build courage, strengthen belief, and prepare you for success. You are always imagining something. The question is, are you imagining your downfall, or are you imagining your rise? The choice is yours. And your choice will shape your future. Chapter 9, The Mind and Self-Discipline. Your mind is powerful, but raw power without control can easily scatter in every direction. Just as fire in the hearth warms the house but fire in the forest destroys it, the mind needs discipline to be useful. Self-discipline is not about punishing yourself, it is about guiding your mental energy toward what truly matters. Many people fail in life not because they are weak, but because their minds are untrained. They allow distractions to pull them in different directions. They give in to moods, impulses, and habits that do not serve their growth. But when you discipline your mind, you are like a farmer who clears his field of weeds, plants the right seeds, and watches patiently until the harvest. The nature of self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control your thoughts, emotions, and actions so they align with your goals and values. It is not something you are born with, it is something you build. Like a muscle, the more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Discipline is not about denying yourself joy, it is about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. For example, when you decide to study instead of wasting hours in idle talk, you are exercising discipline. When you decide to save money instead of spending it recklessly, you are training your mind to value tomorrow more than today's impulse. The mind without discipline. Imagine a student who cannot sit still to study because every noise, every thought, every distraction pulls them away. Their mind is like a ship without a captain, tossed around by waves. They may be intelligent, but without discipline, their intelligence is wasted. Now compare this with another student who may not be as naturally gifted but who has trained themselves to focus, to resist unnecessary distractions, and to stick with difficult tasks until they are completed. That student will always go further. This is the difference discipline makes. Training the mind through daily practice. Self-discipline is built through small, consistent practices. Some powerful ways include: 1. Control of attention. Learn to direct your mind where you want it to go. When you sit down to read, resist the urge to wander. Each time you bring your mind back, you strengthen it. 2. Mastery of desires. Not all desires need to be satisfied. Discipline means saying no to impulses that do not align with your vision. Hunger teaches patience, and patience strengthens discipline. 3. Order and routine. A disciplined mind thrives in structure. Set times for study, reflection, work, and rest. When the mind knows there is order, it learns to flow with it. 4. Endurance of effort. Discipline is about continuing even when it is not easy. The disciplined person does not stop at the first obstacle. They push through because they know growth lives beyond comfort. 5. Silence and reflection. A restless mind loses strength. Train yourself to sit quietly, reflect, and observe your thoughts. This brings calmness, clarity, and mastery. The reward of self-discipline. Discipline transforms the mind into a powerful servant. Instead of being ruled by emotions, you become the ruler. Instead of being carried away by distractions, you stay anchored. Discipline gives you freedom, because true freedom is not doing whatever you want, true freedom is having the power to do what is right. A disciplined mind can carry you through storms, temptations, and failures without losing direction. It makes your goals attainable, your habits stronger, and your character unshakable. Chapter 10, Living a Mindful Life Every Day. We have spent the previous chapters exploring the hidden treasures of the mind. Its habits, focus, imagination, memory, discipline, and the way it shapes who we become. But none of these lessons matter unless we take them from theory into practice, from knowledge into daily living. This is where the real power lies. Living a mindful life every day means carrying the awareness of your mind into every decision, every conversation, and every quiet moment. It is not about sitting in meditation for hours or reading countless books about mental strength. It is about the little choices you make consistently. 1. The power of awareness. Awareness is the beginning of everything. You cannot change what you do not notice. Every day, pause and ask yourself, what is going on in my mind right now? Are you worrying about tomorrow? Are you replaying a mistake from yesterday? Or are you fully present with the task in front of you? The more you train your mind to notice where it is wandering, the more control you gain. Awareness is like a light. Once it shines on your thoughts, confusion disappears and clarity enters. 2. Living with intention. Most people drift through life, reacting instead of acting. But you can choose to live with intention. Start your mornings by setting a clear intention. What do I want to give today? How do I want to show up? What energy do I want to carry? This is not about controlling everything. Life will always surprise you with unexpected turns. But when you carry an intention in your heart, you meet challenges with direction instead of confusion. 3. The role of gratitude. Gratitude transforms the way your mind works. A grateful mind cannot be overwhelmed by bitterness or envy. Make it a daily practice to list a few things you are thankful for. It may be as small as the air you breathe, the smile of a stranger, or the fact that you survived another day. Gratitude rewires your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles, hope instead of despair. 4. Choosing peace over chaos. Your mind is constantly bombarded with noise, social media, gossip, news, and distractions. If you are not careful, these voices will fill your inner space until you cannot hear yourself think. Mindful living means guarding your mental gate. Choose carefully what you allow into your thoughts. Protect your peace. Turn off unnecessary noise. Be willing to sit in silence. In silence, your mind finds its deepest strength. 5. The habit of reflection. At the end of each day, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? Where did I waste my energy? What am I proud of? What can I do better tomorrow? Reflection is how you gather wisdom from your own journey. Without it, you keep repeating the same mistakes. With it, every day becomes a lesson that shapes a wiser, stronger version of you. 6. Growth as a lifestyle. The mind was not created to remain stagnant. Just as the body grows, the mind is designed to keep expanding. The moment you stop feeding it with new ideas, new knowledge, and new challenges, it begins to weaken. Living mindfully means making growth a lifestyle. Read, learn, observe, and seek wisdom. But remember, growth is not about competition with others, it is about becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. 7. Service, the highest use of the mind. The greatest freedom comes when you realize that your mind is not only for yourself. It was given to you to also uplift others. When you use your thoughts to encourage, to solve problems, to inspire, and to bring light to those around you, your own life becomes richer. Service connects you to a purpose greater than survival. It gives your mind meaning beyond the struggles of daily life. 8. The continuous journey. Using your mind is not a one-time achievement. It is a lifelong journey. There will be days when you feel strong and focused, and days when your thoughts scatter and your emotions take over. That is normal. The goal is not perfection, it is progress. As long as you are aware, intentional, and willing to keep trying, you are already on the right path. Your mind is your greatest gift. It is the engine of your choices, the painter of your reality, the architect of your destiny. Use it well, and you will find peace, strength, and purpose in every season of life. Do not allow your mind to run wild without direction. Do not let fear, doubt, or negativity take the driver's seat. Take charge. Train your thoughts. Guide your focus. Guard your inner space. Above all, live with awareness, gratitude, and intention. That is how to truly use your mind. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share with your loved ones.